as a Clippers fan myself, I went into the season feeling like we don't have anything right now. We don't have any pieces to make any moves. So let's just go into this tank, get a nice pick for this year. We have two max spaces now. So let's go out. Let's go get a nice draft pick. Let's go get 2 stars, and then we'll go back to being a solid team. Little did I know that this team would be in the 8th seed right now in the Western Conference, one of the toughest, obviously the toughest conference in the NBA, and would be playing the Golden State Warriors and doing very well against them. Doing very well. They're not a team that's going to get swept by them. So it all started a couple of years ago when we hired Steve Ballmer. Well, not hired. Steve Ballmer bought the team. Once he bought the team, he brought a new kind of energy to this squad. And what it did was it revitalized the fans. It revitalized the team. Everyone was starting to feel better about the Clippers, and it was starting to look like, whoa, this is starting to look like a pretty good franchise now. Then it became obvious that Chris Paul did not want to stay with the Clippers anymore. He was tired of these the first, second round exits. He was done with it. So he told them, hey, look, I'm not going to be here. You can move me. I'll do a sign and trade. Just, I don't want to be here anymore. They granted him that, traded him to the Rockets for a deal which looked bad at the time because they got back Sam Decker, Patrick Beverley, Lou Will, and they got back Montrezl Harrell, who were all solid role players for the Rockets, but they weren't stars. Then after that move, they told Doc Rivers, hey, look, you're done being the president of basketball operations. That's it. After that, Doc Rivers' problem with being head of basketball operations over there was that because he was coaching, he felt very connected to the players, and he didn't want to let players go. So he'd keep players around. He wouldn't really trade anybody. He would just keep players around, specifically Austin Rivers, his son. But he was just emotionally attached to the players, so he couldn't let them go. So it was just kind of toxic in the locker room. As players that shouldn't have been on that team kept coming back to the team because they kept throwing money at them, which was just a recipe for disaster. Then they brought in Lawrence Frank to do it, and Lawrence Frank has done an excellent job up there. He's done an excellent job as the general manager. And then what happened was they brought in Jerry West a little later. So now that front office is looking incredible. With Steve Ballmer at the top, he's not young. He's a super rich guy who is out here, who's energetic about this team. He's really into it. He loves the Clippers. His mind isn't on the business. His mind is on the Clippers. Then you bring in Lawrence Frank. Great GM right now. He's out there. He's out there scouting talent. He's out there doing his job to the fullest he can. And then you bring in Jerry West, one of the best executives that's ever played the game, helped create the Warriors dynasty. Then you have one of the best head coaches in NBA history in Doc Rivers. That front office is scary for other teams. That is just a combination of a lot of talent in the stepbrother team for LA. Then they threw Blake Griffin a huge contract, which at the time it was kind of deserving, but at the same time he was just an injury-riddled player. Like, he would give you great numbers in the regular season. Once it came to postseason, he kind of his body was just tearing apart. So it wasn't really a great move, which they then traded for Boban Marjanovic, traded for Tobias Harris, and a first round and a second round pick, which turned out to be great for them. Because after that, then they let DJ walk to the Mavericks. So then it looked like we were going into the rebuild. Then this season started, in which Tobias Harris started playing out of his mind. He started playing like an all-star caliber player. Then Sweet Lou was going crazy for them. And then Montrezl Harrell broke through and is having a great season. And then you have Pat Bev, who's out there. He's the craziest point guard I've ever seen in my entire life. He's the guy who walks into the locker room and says, "Give me LeBron, give me Kevin Durant." He's not the guy who's in there like, yeah, let me just take this guy. He's the guy, I want their best player, and if I don't get their best player, then I'm gonna lose it. He's the guy who comes in, he brings the energy. Montrezl Harrell brings the energy. They have a lot of guys who just bring a lot of energy to this game, play with heart and hustle. And that's why they've been so successful this season. It's because you get a bunch of guys who are out there who love the game of basketball. They love playing defense. They're not too worried about scoring for themselves. They're worried about, let's do this as a team. We are a team. We are one. And Doc Rivers is looking like he's having the most fun coaching that he's ever had. He doesn't have to deal with all the personalities. He's got a bunch of guys who love this game. He's got a bunch of guys who just want to play together. And when you get that as a coach, that is a dream job. And it's looking very enticing for free agents such as Kawhi, KD, Kyrie, any of these guys. They're looking at the Clippers like, wow, they don't have a single star and they made the playoffs in the West over LeBron and the Lakers, who are looking like a mess. What is going on in Tinseltown right now? That's what's going on. That's what's going on in their head. Kawhi Leonard, Lawrence Frank has been at almost every Raptors game just watching Kawhi. He hasn't been talking to him. He's just been watching Kawhi, watching what he does, watching his every move. He's ready to pounce. He is ready to get Kawhi. Kawhi is it's starting to look like a done deal after this because they are causing problems for one of the greatest teams, if not the greatest team ever assembled right now. They came back down 31 points to beat the Warriors. Not the Pistons. Not any of those teams. Not the Lakers. The Golden State Warriors. Down 31. These guys do not give up. They go out there. They don't care if they go down by 50. They're going to go out there and they're going to play their hearts out. Because this team is just a bunch of high-energy guys who are out there trying to prove themselves. You got a bunch of nice, and you have a nice, you have a nice bunch of guys who are willing to come off the bench. These aren't the guys who are out here talking about, I need my money, I need to be a starter, I'm the star here. Lou Williams, who's arguably one of the better scorers in the NBA, is out here coming off the bench. Montrezl Harrell, who's turned into a great player, coming off the bench. You have these two guys coming off the bench for you guys? I mean, what is going on right now? The Clippers are looking like one of the teams to beat in the future. If they can land one of these stars, this is a real championship contender.